ProWrestlingSheet.com.
Hey, happy Tuesday morning. Welcome to another episode of Collider Body Slam Raw Recap. We are, of course, we had the day off yesterday for MLK Day, which I hope you celebrated in your own way, honoring the words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The WWE started off the show with a tribute. But before we get to that, I am John Rocha, the host of the show, joined as always by the CEO of Pro Wrestling Sheet over there, probably breaking the scoop as we speak on his phone. Ryan Satin, how are you, brother?
I'm doing all right. It's been a 24 hours. It has been a day the past 24 hours.
It has.
Yeah, it's been a day.
There you go. Well said. A lot of meaning in that. All right, well, let's just jump into it then. So Raw starts off with this very nice tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which is always difficult for me to watch because I know that, you know, although they listen to the words of Dr. Martin Luther King on the WWE, sometimes they don't carry them out. And we have yet to have a full black champion in the WWE carry any of the major titles for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. It's really rare. So, you know, it's 2019 and that still hasn't happened yet. They play this tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. every year. So it's mind-blowing to me. Are they just doing fan service, or do you think they really believe this stuff?
They do it every year. So I think
Vince, I
really do think Vince is a big Martin Luther King Jr. fan.
Okay.
Regardless of how it may
have a male black
regardless how it may appear, I do believe that he is inspired by Martin Luther King. They do it every year.
Yeah, they do.
It's and then, you know, yeah, they do it every year.
Yeah.
And at this point, I mean, I would have to think that he has to be genuine about it in some way.
Okay.
No?
All right.
You don't think he's genuine about it?
It's not that I don't think he's genuine. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, because like a lot of people, you know, posted stuff to Martin Luther King Jr. yesterday that I'm like, what? You know, so sometimes I think it's gaslight. You know, anyway, I don't want to get too deep into it. It's always fascinating when I see it.
I saw Gail Kim have a similar sentiment on Twitter. She quote tweeted, because Vince...
Oh, she quoted Vince.
Well, because Vince tweeted that video.
Yeah, because Vince used the N-word in a sketch. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think he's the best carrier for that kind of message.
She quote tweeted Vince.
And Booker excused him. I know that, but still.
She said... there it is. She said, "All respects to Martin Luther King Jr., but is this Vince really tweeting? Is this really Vince tweeting? Hero with like a bunch of like the question emojis."
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
it's interesting.
WWE has a very public image, so you know. I mean, I often wonder what they're actually passionate about and what they aren't.
Yeah.
You know, like it's weird. I do think, even if it's maybe doesn't come across that way as Vince being the one who is inspired by Martin Luther King Jr., I think that there is unquestionably people in the company in different various positions of authority who do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's also why it happens. But at the end of the day, I do think that it wouldn't happen if Vince didn't actually feel that way.
That's true. If Vince didn't feel that way, nothing happens on that show.
No, because it's been happening consistently for years now.
That's a fair point. Well, speaking of Vince, he kept pushing this narrative in this opening exchange with Heyman and Lesnar, and then eventually Strowman, and then Finn Balor about this idea that Balor is too small to make it believable to defeat Lesnar for the title. Never mind the same company that had Rey Mysterio beat Batista for the title, but somehow
Seth Rollins was champion for just like for a long time, and they're like the same size.
They're like the same size, so I don't know. So it was an interesting narrative to push forward.
AJ Styles is like the same size as him, was champion for like a year.
Daniel Bryan is 2 feet tall, so it's like you get that whole thing. No offense, Dan, don't kill me, but like you get this whole narrative going forward that they're leaning into what people have been saying on the message boards. Vince is owning it now in a way and making it work for his character, doing that walk down to the stage like always. And so what do you think of this whole exchange with Strowman, Lesnar, Finn Balor, and Vince?
Well, first I'll go for the first part.
Sure.
Heyman and Brock.
Great
and Vince.
stuff.
So good.
The Bible joke. Oh my God.
That Bible.
It was a throwaway thing.
It was such a throwaway, and the fact that he said like, oh, are you familiar with David and Goliath? And he just said so, oh, no, never read the Bible. Like, that was like such a good classic comedy of just like, man, that's someone who's funny on their feet. Like, that was good.
Yeah.
Same for when Vince mentioned the mushrooms that David was eating. And you just see Heyman go like, mushrooms? Like, he said mushrooms? Or so, like, I like that he was going with it. I also feel like, Vince and Paul Heyman are just masters of the microphone.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you will about Vince McMahon. Maybe if you feel like he's lost his creative passion or he's not as creative as he once was, I don't care. You can't say he's not good on the mic.
Yeah, true.
I mean, Vince McMahon knows how to make a crowd unhappy.
Yeah.
He is so good at having the crowd in the palm of his hand and deciding whether they're going to boo him or whether they're going to cheer him.
Yeah.
And he makes that decision. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, last night was a great example of that where they're all cheering for him and he in his head knows that he doesn't need them to cheer for him.
Right.
He needs them to cheer for Finn Balor when Finn Balor comes out here. So all he's going to do is shit on Finn Balor, talk badly about him. And in order to, like, in case there are people in the crowd who agree with what Vince is saying about the size of Finn Balor, because it's not like there aren't people who feel the exact same way. I like that he turned to those people as well and like, oh, I'm in hillbilly land, and was like, and they were like, he's like, what? Why would that make you mad?
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't know way that would make them mad. And Paul Heyman having to like go to his ear like, no, you have to speak slower when you say things or whatever. That was so good, and it had the crowd so primed to cheer for Finn Balor. I thought they did such a good job of that. I didn't necessarily like Braun chiming in on the you're too small thing, because one, we're supposed to be cheering for him.
Yeah.
So I didn't quite understand that. And two, like, they were buddies not that long ago where they were like doing things together on the show, and it was like that fun buddy duo, even though it wasn't like very long, it was very short lived, but like they were friends for a minute on the show. It did seem a little out of place. But that being said, I do like I like it because it's interesting to watch. I like that Finn Balor is being given something to work with, that they're using Finn Balor in some way, that they're trying with Finn Balor as opposed to just having him come out and smile, which has been kind of annoying for a while. So I like that end. I do wonder though, like, man, like you similarly to coming out and saying the show sucks and then not changing anything, going out there and saying, Finn Balor, like, you can't win, you suck. It's kind of what they're saying to him. Like, you're small, you can never be a main eventer, blah, blah, blah. If he then loses on Sunday, which there's a real big possibility he's going to lose on Sunday. Yeah. I don't know if this really puts him over going forward, like in the long run. Yeah. It kind of like, it could end up being hurtful to him, no?
It could, because this is being manufactured. Whereas when it happened with Daniel Bryan, it was organic.
Agreed.
Right? The fans got behind him and his run, and the powers that be were upset about the fans like cheering Daniel Bryan and they wanted to steer the fans into cheering for him, and all they did was ruin Batista's return, which was unfortunate. And then so Daniel Bryan winning eventually at that WrestleMania was incredible, but it also felt a bit anticlimactic to me because we all saw it coming. As opposed to a natural thing. We knew they were going to put him through the gauntlet and he'd come out with the championship. With this situation, this feels like the WWE is trying to manufacture the storyline again and put their spin on it. But we've seen small people beat big people all the time in professional wrestling, so it's nothing new. And Balor was the first Universal Champion.
And to be fair, I don't think you can just say, like, I feel like Brock is a beast in and of itself. Like he's not necessarily just your average big guy. Like, Brock is this like undefeatable force in WWE. Right. I mean, he lost sometimes, but you know what I mean. For the most part, he's like this like really hard thing to overcome. But yes, I agree with you that it has been done before. It's not like they've never had a small guy beat a big guy before. But do you agree that it could hurt him in the long run?
Of course it could. Of course it could, because it just gives more fuel to the fire that he's not championship material, right? And even though, like I said, he's the first Universal Champion, he might not be championship material in the long run. I don't think he is. I think they're using him as a placeholder until they get Rollins to that position. That's what I think. If by any chance he wins, there's no way it's Rollins and Balor at WrestleMania for the title. There's no way that's happening.
The rematch of like the match where he got injured in, no one cares. That's not a sellable thing.
It would have to be a triple threat with Strowman or something, or even a four-way with Lesnar. That makes it interesting.
Gotta have Brock at WrestleMania. Brock's got it. Yeah. He's stayed there this long. He's clearly stayed at WrestleMania.
Of course, it's since it's contract, I'm sure. So that's the thing that I just don't think. Balor wins. But Balor may fight his heart out and may give Lesnar a tougher match than expected, and then that would keep him in the conversation at that point. We'll see, though.
I was talking with someone last night, and I feel like the only way, I shouldn't say the only way, that's very dramatic. A way I feel like he could come out of it, even with a loss, a way where he could, like, redeem himself from it, would be he loses.
Yes.
And then he's unheard of. We don't hear from him again.
Yeah.
Until the shakeup where he goes to SmackDown, and on the SmackDown after WrestleMania, he finally shows up with the club. Like, it's him and Doc and Gallows, and they're like, "Look, we're tired of being not taken seriously the past 3 years.
That's a great possibility.
We're one of the biggest factions in the world, and we're tired of being nice, and we're gonna come out and we're done." Like, and we get finally like heel Finn Balor on the main roster on SmackDown, because I feel like after WrestleMania they're gonna switch AJ to Raw possibly.
Oh, okay.
That's just a hunch because he's been on SmackDown so long. We've never had AJ on Raw.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that? By putting Finn Balor and giving Finn Balor the push that you gave to AJ a few years back.
That's great. I love it. And he mentioned the Balor Club in that promo when he was out there in the ring. So certainly putting it out there, making people remember the Balor Club in some way.
And he's also mentioned in that interview with ESPN, I think, that he said something along the lines of like that he felt like he relied on the Demon a little bit too much in NXT.
Right.
And so he's not going to be the Demon at Royal Rumble.
It's amazing how that thing is like a thing for him. The Demon.
The Demon. Yeah, I know.
It's still you.
I know.
Like, it's you in makeup. Like,
I know.
I don't understand. It's like Tucker goes. It's like Taker goes. Should I be American Badass today, or should I be Undertaker?
Well, to
today?
be fair, in NXT that was explained much better than it ever was on the main roster.
That's fair.
On NXT, it was like a thing he didn't want to have to bring out of himself.
Right.
It was like a thing that like he had to in like worst case scenario, like I need to win.
Yeah.
I need to bring out this like inner bad person in me, kind of like Venom almost. Like it was very similar to that, where it was like the bad guy in me needs to go kick some ass or whatever.
Right.
I like that.
Okay.
On the main roster, they never got that across. I don't think it was always just
it just seemed like,
hey, look, this is when Finn wears makeup.
Right. And people are like, hey, if you know Finn, you know this is part of it.
Yeah.
Basically, it's
but they
accepted.
didn't really. They had that one package I remember where they tried to explain it, but I don't think they ever did a good job of it. They really tried. They tried.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like they ever did a good job of it. But yeah, I feel like if this all leads to Finn's final his final run as his final match as a face before we get a heel Finn Balor, angry Finn Balor heel.
Yeah,
I feel like that'd be money. So I'm into that. But I did like this segment though. I felt like Finn coming out and speaking his piece and saying this thing. It made him look good. And the match itself. Yeah. It was a good match. I liked that we were seeing what Finn Balor would have to do against Braun Strowman, because Braun Strowman is a big beast like Brock Lesnar. So I like that we had to see what he would have to do in order to overcome something like that. But I also like, and maybe this is just like the longtime wrestling watcher in me, but like we all know that like usually if someone's going over, they get the like lesser end of the stick on the go home show.
Right,
so like Finn Balor got the shit kicked out of him, so like he's supposed to win now at the pay-per-view. I feel like that's not gonna happen. So I also don't feel he got over too much because of it, because Brock kind of squished it real fast.
Yeah, he did. Speaking of squishing, we had Apollo Crews and Bobby Lashley squish their pecs together and their muscles together in a pose-off standoff here with Lashley getting the title put around his waist by Lio Rush. The celebration of this whole it was a very uncomfortable thing to watch, because I'm just like, I get it, what you're getting for the Almighty, that whole promo and whatever. He's like a Greek god and all that jazz. But Apollo Crews coming in was a nice little difference. I mean, they said they were going to make changes, put people in storylines that don't normally go in storylines. This was certainly something new we hadn't seen. Put in Apollo Crews and have a back and forth. I liked the back and forth with him and Lashley. I thought it was funny on the podium. But in the end, the match went the way it's supposed to go. Lashley gets the victory. I thought Crews would have gotten the victory without the belt. Like it was a little scare. We'd have a program between
Rumble
these guys.
match, maybe.
Yeah, Rumble match or something. Because Crews are really good wrestler.
Oh, he's great, yeah.
Athletic as hell, who's never gotten a real shot on the main roster. So
which
this
is
is
surprising based on his physique.
Yeah.
Like you would think that's one of those guys that Vince would have fell in love with instantly.
Yeah.
That's what you would think.
If he's a Martin Luther King guy, I would think he would. I'm just saying. Anyway.
You know, I actually liked the segment.
I did too.
I liked it. And I don't know if it's just because I was watching Superstars in the morning, because I don't know if you saw, but WWE put up a bunch of WWE Superstars from 1992, their old show that was like WWE Superstars.
I used to watch that show.
I figured, yeah.
I watched it live, son.
It's if you watch the show you like, they put up a bunch. They put up like a lot of episodes from 1992. Which is the first time I think they've put Superstars on the WWE Network, which is crazy based on how long the network's been on there.
Well, I mean, they want to limit the contents.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, you used to watch Superstars. I feel like from what I've heard, I didn't start watching the Attitude Era, but like from what I've heard, Superstars was like from what I've seen, it was Raw before there was Raw. You know, so
essentially.
So I was watching that on Monday morning since we weren't here in the office. I was watching some of the Superstars episodes because I didn't really watch it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I started in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just was watching too much Superstars during the day, which kind of had that simple, cheesy formula of like, here's a fun, cheesy thing, but it helps advance a story that these two guys are going to fight down the line. So I like that aspect of it. It was a very cheesy vibe to it, but it was like fun and not like insult your intelligence cheesy, just like fun cheesy. It was like, oh, I like this, you know? And so I was I was entertained by it. It's crazy too watching those Superstars episodes because I tweeted about it, but it's crazy to see like how many matches were with enhancement talent.
Oh yeah.
Like and on top of that, I go, man, I don't understand why we've gotten so far away from this because those enhancement matches really did help a lot. They were like they're a big part of the puzzle. I think that we're missing right now is like a lot of times you don't even know what a wrestler's finishing move is, and to me that's really how they established them were those enhancement matches because it was like that's what they came out and they did. They did a few clotheslines, they did a few punches, they did a few kicks, but really they did their like 2 signature moves and then their finisher and then it was over. And like the guys said their catchphrase on the way to the ring. You got to establish who they were. You heard their music. And so you like built this roster of stars based on these enhancement talent matches. And now it's like instead of building independent revenue streams a la wrestlers, you're like having those independent revenue streams go against each other all the time and lowering the value of some of them, I would think, right?
Yeah. Well, in the long run, yes. But, I mean, they always adjusted for that kind of stuff when it started to happen. So, you know, it was part of the game, I guess.
Yes, but I just feel like even when they brought Ellsworth in, like, look how popular Ellsworth got. Just because they finally had a jobber again. Like, people were like, oh, man, a jobber?
Right.
Hell yeah. You know, and people liked those jobbers,
well,
you
we
know?
talked about it, last week or 2 weeks ago about Horowitz and those other guys that were jobber, Brooklyn Brawler. They were characters within themselves that people look forward to watching because they always came so close or they got squashed. Right? And they rarely ever won. Or if they ever did win, it really signaled that the other wrestler that was a higher, more accomplished wrestler was off his game or not thinking or was distracted by other things going on in his life. So they always served a purpose that was essential to the overall storyline of the show. You know, so yeah.
Someone else brought it to me on Twitter when I was talking about it. I forget exactly who it was now, and I'll take forever looking it up on my phone. But they brought up the fact that like they also have 2 performance centers filled with people you don't know. Yeah, they would get experience just sending those guys up and having them do job matches, like enhancement talent matches, to get experience, to like see what it's like wrestling in front of that many people. Like, I don't really understand why it's gone away. But yes, I liked the cheesiness of this episode, of this part. The match itself did leave a little bit to be desired.
I agree completely.
Like I think that it had a lot to do with that botched gorilla press slam.
Oh my god!
I think it really messed things up because you were like, "Shit, is he hurt?"
Yeah.
Because me personally, when I watched, I was like, "Oh man, is he hurt?" Like, because I mean, obviously he dropped him because he was in a weirdly placed, but then also he was like holding on to his back. Like he dropped him in an awkward way. The match ended kind of quickly after that, so he still did moves here and there. But I was wondering because you saw the referee kind of hold the back and like it looked like he was maybe signaling to the back a little bit. So that did take away from the match a little bit, unfortunately. I'm sure it's not it's a mistake. It's not like it's like he's a bad wrestler, like you said. He's such a good wrestler. So it is unfortunate though to see that happen when he's getting an opportunity.
He's getting a shot.
I hope that it's more like Mustafa Ali when Mustafa Ali kneed Daniel Bryan in the face, and they were just like, "We get it, you nerves, like." Just don't let it happen again. I'm hoping that's what's going on with Apollo Crews here.
Well, if Ronda can botch, he can botch.
It also wouldn't surprise me to see maybe if he's in the match, to see Cruz eliminate Lashley.
Oh yeah.
and then they'll continue on with that being the feud.
Right.
And kind of go forward from there.
Yeah, we'll see how Leo Rush gets involved in that as well. Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre had themselves a nice little promo off. Seth bringing up Martin Luther King Jr., talking about his words and who you are in adversity and challenges is who you really are, that kind of stuff. And then McIntyre coming out saying, I'm an honest man. I don't like to hear you lie to yourself and other people about your prospects, blah, blah, blah. Talking about how they're going to go at it in Royal Rumble, who's going to win the Rumble. Then they go at it. Rollins defeats McIntyre by pinfall. That was a good match. Not a great match, but a good match. McIntyre got the best of him for the majority of the match. And
These
then
two
Rollins
put on
did
good
his
matches
thing.
always.
They do. And we've seen it many times.
Yes.
So what did we serve with this? Was this just filler for a 3-hour show? This particular match, does it further anything at all? Because I feel like it didn't. Other than they might have a confrontation at the Rumble when they're in the ring.
That's really all it did.
Yeah.
While watching this, I was wondering... Well, I agree. The match was good, but it's just like we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
We've seen it so many times now. I didn't know what I was going to see that was different. Yeah, I enjoyed it. There was good spots in there, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not going to like pick it apart or anything. It just didn't excite me. It just wasn't like, okay, cool, we saw this. We saw Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. Again. I didn't love Rollins' promo for some reason.
Okay.
I was just kind of like some of the stuff he was saying. I was just like, what's he saying?
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, it was just like, what point is he trying to get across here?
It seemed like he got too earnest and vulnerable as opposed to like playing the character that he plays.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a really good way of wording it. He felt too earnest. You're and we all know Seth Rollins.
Yeah, we know Seth.
We know that Seth Rollins is not that.
Yeah, I don't want Burn It All Down to be like, hey, so I was thinking if it's cool, can we do burn it down?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted that.
And I also was kind of liking that he was like, taking what Triple H said to heart, was like, fine, I'm going to bring back old Seth Rollins. Yeah. And he was kind of doing that.
Yeah.
And then he lost the title, and now it's just kind of like, well, I'm here. Hopefully I'm going to win again.
I lost my family, and, I had 2 belts before. And
son? Yeah, it was too, muted. It was like, I didn't love it.
Yeah, McIntyre pretty much won this whole thing.
Yeah.
Promo and the match, in essence, even though he lost the match, he won the match, in my opinion, with his abilities in the ring.
Do you think, I tweeted about this, and I was wondering what your opinion is.
Yeah.
A while back when it happened, we were on here talking about how the Angle thing, Angle and Drew McIntyre thing.
Yeah.
And I've noticed they've been kind of mentioning it again. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
They've been kind of mentioned on commentary. It wasn't something they mentioned.
He's going to show up.
Okay, my question is this.
Yeah.
Do you think that do you think that Kurt Angle returns the Royal Rumble, eliminates Drew McIntyre, and then we get Drew McIntyre versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania?
God, no. That's a squash match. Don't you think?
We had this conversation a few weeks. We had this conversation when Kurt Angle got the shit beat out of him.
Right.
And I said I would like the redemption of like old man Angle, like coming back to like almost like a Logan situation where it's like, no, Kurt Angle has to show that like he's still a bad. So I've already kind of stated that I am of the belief that it could be a captivating storyline of like Kurt Angle wanting one more chance to show that he's a badass.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Okay.
But I seem to be in the minority here a little bit because when I tweeted that prediction, a lot of people didn't seem to agree. A lot of people were like, no, please, no.
Well, because they said, we're making these changes. We're going to bring new people in. We're going to do the storylines. Bringing an old wrestler from back then to take on McIntyre and have him face him at WrestleMania seems like walking backwards, not walking forwards.
Okay, yes.
It's not like Sting versus Rollins. That's different. Sting has
it's kind of the same thing.
Yes, maybe, because I don't think McIntyre has the legacy that Rollins did going into that match with Sting. And Sting showed that he could still do it. He was still wrestling at a certain level.
And we've seen Drew McIntyre versus Kurt Angle a couple times. Yeah. Not in WWE necessarily, but I think they wrestled in TNA as well, or Impact or whatever.
That's right.
I get that. But we're obviously going to have legends at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
That's WrestleMania.
So he can be part of the legend stuff. I just don't see him being part of the actual guys that are doing it now.
So you'd want to see him in a tag match again? Because wasn't that what he was last year with Ronda?
Yeah, no.
So you don't want to see him at all at WrestleMania?
I'd love to see Kurt at WrestleMania. I love Kurt.
Doing what?
Legends Royal Rumble? Something like that? I mean, I just don't want him coming out in the Conquistador outfit anymore. I'm uncomfortable watching his balls jiggle in that outfit. I'm uncomfortable. I'm letting you know it's uncomfortable to watch those gold tights
I don't know what Roke is watching while watching wrestling sometimes.
Too many man parts.
I want to hear what you guys think on that one.
Yeah, sure.
Before I say it at the end, I want to tweet me or leave it in the comments. I want to know what you guys think about that idea, because I feel like I've gotten both sides on that one.
Yeah.
Some people have your reaction. Some people.
I just don't see setting up Rollins versus McIntyre in this promo and not having that be the thing that happens in the Rumble. Why have Angle get involved at all? Unless Rollins and Angle, like Angle distracts McIntyre and Rollins throws him over, or Rollins distracts McIntyre and Angle throws him over, and then Rollins throws over Angle. That makes sense. I just think
that you need Drew McIntyre in a marquee match
at
WrestleMania.
You do, but it's not Angle.
But who?
Rollins. It'll be Rollins.
But Rollins might be going up against Brock. You think Braun and Brock? So you think Rollins and
Braun
McIntyre, just no title, no nothing, just the two of them? But we've literally seen that match. We literally just said right now that we were unexcited to see it on Raw.
That's true.
Why would anyone be excited to see that at WrestleMania?
I think maybe it's Ambrose and Rollins versus Ziggler and
See, Rocha's even trying to book his way out of that one.
I can't. It's a terrible idea. All right, let's move on. We'll see what happens. Lucha House Party taking on, and Jinder Mahal taking on the Singh Brothers. Lucha House Party taking on Jinder Mahal and the Singh Brothers. What a waste of time this was. I don't understand this match at all. What was the point? It's 6 people need to get paid for doing work, and they did it.
Well, I will say this much. I like to see the Singh Brothers being used finally in a match.
Good God.
It's been so long.
Right.
And they just get tossed around.
Yep.
I like they have their gear on them. Like, that's like just a wrestler thing. They were like, hey, you're in a match. You got your gear? Yeah, of course I have my gear. I'm a wrestler.
I'm a professional.
Yeah, I'm a professional wrestler.
Yeah. I wrestle in a 7-Eleven, son. Yeah.
So I liked that the Singh Brothers were being used in a match. I felt like, you've got them. They're both healthy. Why not just utilize them? The tag division could use extra hands. It's not like they can't. So I like that aspect of it. The match was it was what it was. It wasn't anything too mind blowing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Did the revival thing happen before or after this?
Which revival thing?
When they were talking to Vince.
I think it was before this.
Was it before this?
Yeah, because then their match is a little bit later.
Okay. Did you like that thing?
It was okay. I don't like anything with the revival, I'll be honest with you now.
You don't like anything with the revival?
I don't think their hearts are in it. I think they want to go.
Well, did you read the story report this weekend?
You said no, I didn't. Did they submit or did they not submit?
So they did ask for their release.
Okay.
They did ask for their release, and it wasn't necessarily because of their push.
Right.
It was basically because of the tag division as a whole. From what I've been told, it was just like fed up with the lack of direction, the lack of storyline, the lack of putting the champions on the show, the lack of time in the match.
This is what happens when you have another place to go. All of a sudden, wrestlers go, maybe I don't have to keep eating shit out of a bowl. I can do something here and go to another place that'll take advantage of and maybe it won't make the money that I make at WWE, but at least I'll be happy. Yeah. And that's what matters more than anything else to a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, from what I'm told, like the boiling point was really like they were like, hey, like the match wasn't like the tag champions weren't even on Raw that same week. And like most people can't even tell you who the tag champions are. Right. And so it was very much like a boiling point of just like had it up to here with that situation. And also just like the way they've treated tag teams like the club. Yeah. Where like look what the club was and what they've become.
Hey, look at AOP. Where the hell have AOP been?
It's literally the other one. Yeah. Well, apparently one of them is injured. That's where they've been. Okay. But from what I was told, the AOP and like their call up and initial like being brought, then like absent was another part of it of like, look what they did. They could have been the next, huge tag team, and instead they're like peeing on things. They got people peeing on stuff.
I think that's the biggest mistake they've made overall creatively is they've pissed away some really great tag teams and been unable to write for them. It's not the fault of the talent. No. It's the fault of creative and the writers not creating stronger storylines for these guys to do. There's no way they can't kill it in NXT and be put in creative situations that make sense and blow it. That's just not. They have a track record, all of them do, of making something great out of nothing or just a little bit. But this is, they've pissed it all away. We could be like looking at, it's AOP versus the Ascension. Oh my God, at WrestleMania it's going to be great. But no, they haven't like let them have these incredible matches and written storylines for them that make sense.
Yep, I couldn't agree more with you. I couldn't agree more with you. I feel the exact same way that it's like, I love tag team wrestling. Yeah. Some of my favorite, almost all my favorite wrestlers all started out in tag teams. Like, I love tag team wrestling. I huge fan of it. That's why I'm such a big Hardy Boys fan. Yeah. Like, they were the shit when I was a kid, you know? Like, they were the coolest tag team, and I still love them to this day, you know? And I feel like a lot of people are the same way with, like, the Rockers or the Rock and Roll Express and stuff like that. So it's silly to me that tag team wrestling is just so. It's just treated as garbage in WWE for some reason. It's weird. But as someone who likes when WWE blends reality and fiction, just wrestling, when wrestling blends reality with fiction a little bit, I like that because I think that that's when people enjoy wrestling the most because they're saying to themselves, was that real?
Yeah.
And I think that is a big part of when wrestling is
agreed
is successful.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing they played off of the reports of them asking for their release a little bit and have a backstage where Vince is like, listening to them complain in the backstage area. I liked they
played into it because they mention it later on when the match happens. They argued for what they wanted and they got it.
Yeah.
So as if it's wrong to ask for what you want in the world. Elias took on Baron Corbin here. Oh man,
I don't like any of this.
Nope, none of this.
So
anything with Corbin. What does he have? I need to know.
There are people that are very talented on the roster that aren't being used.
No.
And I like Baron Corbin. Like, I don't think Baron Corbin isn't talented. I just don't think that Baron Corbin is as over as they are making him out to be. And I don't know what the deal is, but they've always really been obsessed with Baron Corbin for some reason.
But we say this all the time, though.
Yeah.
We say this one wrestler comes in, and you don't understand why he's getting such a push. It drives you insane.
He's tall.
They won't listen.
He's very tall. That's why he's getting a push.
Yeah, and they won't listen.
Yeah. He's tall and he will kick your ass.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to get into it with Corbin. It's an opinion.
But I didn't like the Elias.
They're pissing away the Elias thing.
They are.
They turned him face and then they gave him nothing to do.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do.
It was pointless to turn him face if you were just going to have him be lame now.
Yep.
Like at least push him towards something.
Right.
But they've just been real stop and start on what they want to do with Elias now.
Yeah.
And that has been frustrating to watch, very much so.
Right.
And especially having him lose to Baron Corbin.
Yeah. Like, what does that accomplish?
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, this was the definition of time filler.
Yeah.
Like just a straight up time filler.
Yeah, waste of time.
Yeah.
Waste of damn time. Anyway, less said about that, the better. Who knows what happened. I feel bad for Elias. He should take a look at All Elite. All right, a moment.
No, Vince loves him. Even if there's this weird.
Well, then give him something to do.
Agreed. But Vince McMahon loves him.
Yeah. Just SmackDown? Do you think he'd be good on SmackDown?
I just want to
If
see
you
him.
move AJ and then put him in that slot.
I hate to say this because I know people love it. I think his character needs to progress. I'm tired of just watching him do this guitar.
I agree.
I'm so tired of just watching him do this. I also didn't love it right away. It took me a minute to get on board. But now I've already gotten over it again.
Yeah.
Like I'm already just like I'm very much not in. I'm a person who doesn't like repetition too often. Like to repeat the same thing, I get bored of it.
Yep.
And so like I don't see anything that is that different in his concerts every week that is making me be like, oh, we have to see this every week. It's just like a moment of bliss where I'm just like, okay, we get it. Just give us something that's entertaining, though.
That they call that a segue because that's what we're talking about next.
That
Moment
next?
of bliss.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was good.
absolutely. It's very well done, right? Alexa Bliss comes out as beautiful as. Yeah. The eye makeup was a little heavy this time. It was a little weird for me to see that. Like, it was heavy. I thought something was wrong with the right eye because I could barely see it on TV. So I was like, oh, this is weird. But she came out, did her thing.
I have no place to talk about someone's makeup. Could never do it myself, so that's all you, Rocha.
I'm not trying to talk crap, I'm just saying. But she came out, and Nia came out with her. They had a little bit of exchange. Good to see them together again. I always loved them as a duo.
You left out one part of this that was fucking ridiculous.
Is this the coffee cup?
No, just the reading her name or reading all the names. It was like so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was just we didn't need you to come out and read every single person's name that's listed that's been involved in the Rumble so far.
Yeah.
Like we know who all those people are when you put the picture up. It was so awkward. Like Bayley, Nia Jax, Mickie James,
but like I said,
Alicia Fox.
It's a 3-hour show. They got to fill it somehow. So maybe they thought this would put some minutes in.
It was just such lazy.
It was.
I was like, yeah. We looked at the picture. Like, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe that was just me. I don't know. I was just like, I was very bored during this part.
Agreed. It devolved into a Rumble. Ember Moon came out, challenged Nia. And Nia, of course, making these comments off the mic that foment the stuff. Then it was what? It was Mickie James. No, it was the captain, Alicia, who was great. Jesus Christ, Alicia's so good.
She is.
The captain stuff is brilliant.
Yeah. Yes, she was great.
And those ladies don't know what to do with her half the time because she is like crazy good and being weird and all that stuff. It just works so well. And then Riot Squad comes out, Nikki Cross comes out, which I thought was a little weird. And then Alexa gets on the chair, yells at them, says it's her show. And then Lacey comes out.
Well,
Man.
first they all.
Yeah,
first they all leave.
They get into a
brawl. First they all brawl. They
And
leave.
then-
We see
brawl
part of the
into the
brawl.
back.
Then Alexa announces that she's going to be in the Royal Rumble,
right, which is great.
Then Lacey interrupts her and says she's also going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. I just want to get to the Lacey stuff because
You didn't like it?
I didn't like it.
Really?
I don't like it.
I kind of liked it.
I know. I'm not in the Lacey camp. I know a lot of people are in the Lacey camp.
I think it's such a good. I actually think she's a great heel. She's such a like.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love all that nasty stuff, and she's like, like, you know why? Because at the end of the day, heels are supposed to trigger people,
of course,
and she triggers the hell out of people.
She does.
She triggers the hell out of people. Like people are so frustrated when she posts like the women's places in the kitchen stuff and all that kind of thing. And she's like teaching people how to make sweet tea on Twitter, and it seems to rile people up. And so I think it's very good in its effectiveness.
It's good marketing.
Yeah, it's
for
good.
Sure.
I like that part of things.
Did you like any of this?
Did you like any of this?
I liked it. Yeah, I know you don't like Moment of Bliss stuff. I liked it.
The whole segment as a whole?
Pretty much. Oh, the reading of the names is a little weird, but I liked her like trying to start talking with Nia, and then I liked the brawl. The brawl thing was fun to watch because it just gets you ready for it. Because remember, this is the send-off show, gets you ready for the Rumble. But the only thing I didn't like was Lacey. Because I didn't like the outfit she was wearing. I didn't like the hat. Like all of it it was like mom has shown up from the 1920s. And you're just like,
yeah, but that's kind of her character.
Yeah, but there's a way to be classy without looking like grandma. There's a way to be classy without. Like she did classy stuff, like where she looks like a pinup model from the World War II, the ones they draw on the. That's cool. That's awesome. But looking like your grandma, like you went back in time and you're watching your grandma in her 20s.
I kind of like that part of her character.
Right, that's you, man.
I think that's the whole point of the character.
Oh, no, I get they're supposed to be classy, but there's classy in a way of doing it, and there's classy in a way of doing it.
No, I think she's supposed to be 1920s classy, because that's why she's talking about like women being in the kitchen.
Oh no,
like,
I get that, but the way she was dressed, like the clothes didn't even fit correctly on her. She just looked like a grandma, man. Because everything was too big. Like the hat was too big, the shawl was too big, the dress was too big. It just felt weird to watch. I like her as a character.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I didn't like this particular thing.
Yeah. I didn't like. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't like it. To me, it felt the first part of this segment, woman after woman interrupting each other type thing. I felt like it was just very. It wasn't very creative.
I come to expect that.
Yeah, I come to expect it too. So I'm not going to carpet on too much because it's what they do every year for every Royal Rumble. I just feel like it's not the most creative thing. Like we get it. You just want to show who's going to be in the match.
Right.
I get it. You know. So that aside. Because the segment as a whole didn't captivate me or anything like that. I also felt like because they've been establishing these talk show segments with Alexa.
Yeah.
If Alexa had shown up in the Royal Rumble, that would have been a big surprise.
Yeah, I would have liked that instead.
I did not.
I saw the battles on Twitter about it.
Yeah, I got into one myself. Not a battle, but Meltzer gave me shit for it. So
why?
Well, okay, so I tweeted. And
we only have 15 minutes left, so I got to run
really?
Yeah.
How much time of the show do we have left?
15 minutes left in the show.
No, of Raw.
Oh, we got Heavy Machinery, Ascension, the tag team titles, and then the Ronda Rousey, Natalya, and Sasha.
So he basically all I said was I would have liked. I feel like it would have been better as one of the surprises of the Royal Rumble because they announced the people before. I didn't understand the people being angry about them announcing women who were going to be in the Rumble match prior because they do that every year.
Yeah.
But they don't usually announce the surprise ones like Alexa.
Yeah.
And I thought that would have been, Alexa's music hitting and being in the Rumble would have been a huge, cool moment for the Women's Royal Rumble because everyone thinks that she's not returning to the ring.
Right.
So that was me. I felt that way. I tweeted saying I didn't like it. I thought it should have been a surprise.
Yeah.
And then I tweeted something like, well, maybe they just wanted to dampen the response that she gets because they didn't want her to get this huge face pop when her music hits because she's a heel. Yeah. And Meltzer basically responded to me and kind of said that I was... That they probably did it because they wanted to sell last minute tickets because they haven't finished selling all the tickets yet, and that basically by me saying that I was saying that Alexa isn't a draw and that she means nothing in terms of ticket sales, and I was like, I didn't say that.
What?
I was just saying that creatively it would have been better to have her as a surprise.
Meltzer sometimes I don't understand. This is getting old. This is what happens is when you get old, you start seeing, he's been doing it 30, 40 years.
Oh yeah, long time.
Yeah, so you get to that age where you're just like you see offense where offense isn't there because your mind starts working in a certain, when you connect thoughts, you're like, wait, what? That makes no sense.
I was a little confused, but I mean, look it. I feel like we worked it out well. Here's what he tweeted. He said, How about the idea? I said the only thing that makes sense is that they didn't want her to get a huge return pop, so they did this in advance. And Meltzer said, how about the idea that somebody may actually think she's a star and they have tickets to sell, and the idea is to get people to buy the network for the pay-per-view? Your argument is that she means nothing and the best she can do is a pop, as opposed to actually mean something for the business. And I was a little like, that's not what I said, not what I meant. And we had a civilized talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Also,
amazing
Alexa,
how you have to have civilized talks with people who seek offense in your words.
I'm trying to be more open-minded.
No, no, no.
I also want to gain knowledge from others, so it's fine. Whatever. I'll take it.
All right.
Also, I should say that Alexa, so a few weeks ago when we were on here and we were talking about the topless thing, I said that it was her idea. I had heard that it was her idea. And if that was the case, I probably wouldn't find. I really don't think people should be offended by it. I had heard that she wanted to pay homage to Trish Stratus. She went out there and said today that's not true. She deleted the tweet right after, so maybe she thought the article said something else. I don't know. It was like,
she did delete the tweet.
She said false, and then like quickly after deleted it.
Yeah.
I was very confused. It wasn't a negative thing I was saying. If it wasn't the case, I still feel the same way with the segment. I don't think it was that big of a deal.
Okay.
If I put out any false information, I apologize. That was not my intention.
Yeah.
I didn't put it on the site for a reason because I thought that it was just not a big deal, but that's my fault.
Okay.
So if it was wrong, I apologize.
There you go. Fair enough. All right, let's move on here then. Ascension versus Heavy Machinery quickly.
Great, right?
Yeah.
You didn't like your face is like
It's
it
the
was something
Ascension.
different.
It's the Ascension.
Okay, with the Ascension, totally.
They squashed the Ascension, and I'm just like,
but they didn't even
just build them up.
They didn't even let Connor in the match.
Yeah, I agree.
They just beat the shit out of Victor the
It was
whole
like,
time.
okay, so now we're sending them up. So, all right.
But I did think they put the Heavy Machinery over. They put them
For
over
now.
well. They made them seem fun.
Yeah, yeah.
They were like a fun, too cool like tag team, but big dudes. I was into that.
It could work out that Revival takes on Heavy Machinery, and
I
it's
can
a
see that.
fun little foursome for a while.
I can see that as well. I was thinking the exact same thing, especially with AOP if one of them's injured and they need someone to kind of step in there.
Yep. All right, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable versus the Revival. This basically served to reunite Zack Ryder with his boy there from 3MB. Do you like this?
I loved it.
Okay.
I like Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I was an ECW on WWE ECW fan.
Sorry, not 3MB. I'm sorry, Kurt Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins, yeah.
Sorry about
I was a WWE ECW fan.
Yep.
I watched it with my friends when it aired on TV. I literally would go to my friend's house every week to go watch it at his house. So I have a place in my heart for things still related to that show. And like the Major Brothers are part of that. You know, they were on the ECW show back in the day. Zack Ryder was on the ECW show back in the day. So yeah, I like the Major Brothers or the Edges, whatever they're going to go by.
Yeah.
I thought it was ridiculous that they've had Zack Ryder sitting on the sidelines doing nothing for a year. Yeah. That they've had Kurt Hawkins there, their best friends, and instead of having Kurt Hawkins lose all the time, which is fun, but it's run its course. And I would like to see them get a serious push because Kurt Hawkins is a good wrestler. Yeah. Kurt Hawkins, you know, there's a reason that Rock trains with Kurt Hawkins sometimes when he wants to come back into the ring, you know? And so like I think that it's good to have the Major Brothers, Edgeheads, whatever they're going to be called, back in the tag team division as a team. They're a good team. And if they're feuding with the Revival, I like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I saw someone on Twitter that said they should call them the Hasbros. And I was like, if you can get away with the marketing on that, I'm down.
That is pretty good.
I like the Hasbros.
Hey, they have a wrestler named Fandango.
Yeah, true. That's all a good point. That's a good point.
Although they announce, they say it differently. They say Fandango.
Oh, that's right.
And I think that's how they get away with it. I don't know. That's my guess.
Back in my old incarnation of a show I used to host, me and my co-host, we would battle over Fandango all the time because I hated Fandango.
You're not a fan?
He loved him and I hated him.
Aaron,
because when they were pushing him, they were no, not Aaron. Someone before that. My friend Andre. We had a podcast or a YouTube show that we did for half an hour. We would break down Raw, and he was like he loved Fandango, and I was like, God, kill this push already. I hated it so much. But the Fashion Police, I love that shit. That's good stuff. All right. Anyway, what's the use of having the tag team title? It's really being used to push somebody. Another team getting it. It's so weird. What's good? It's a black hole, that title. All right. Ronda Rousey and Natalya took on Sasha Banks and Bayley. This was an interesting.
First, there was that promo.
Yeah. Oh.
That promo was rough. And you know what sucks? Is it actually would have been a really good promo. It was just that one part.
What does she want me to do?
Well, yeah, that part too. But no, there was part where she meant to say sentence, but she said seconds, or maybe vice versa, and she caught herself. Like she was like, few seconds, sentence, seconds, and you could tell like as someone who maybe not on that, definitely not on that level, but as someone who has acted before, I know what that's like when you catch yourself and then you can't get it out of your head and you're like, and I've never had to do it on live TV. To where like that's rough. Like I've had
nerves
to play as a child, and like your nerves kill you when that happens. On live TV, it's amplified by like a gajillion, So I felt bad for her in that regard because I liked the concept of just like her being so mad. And head BAC, Ronda Rousey, and like walked in and her music hit right away. I did think that was kind of badass. I thought that was a cool badass visual of like right before she Ronda Rousey like walked out. But it did have almost like an aura of Jeff Hardy, where we've joked where he had to do like, okay, I'm out of here, goodbye, bye. And like, how he likes to do that sometimes. And it kind of had that vibe to it a little bit in the promo where she was like, I'm just going to speed through this as fast as possible because I totally screwed up that one part and it got in my head. The match itself was fine.
I thought the match was good.
Yeah, the match was good.
I enjoyed it.
I just didn't feel like it was the ending itself was like something that made me go like, I gotta watch the Royal Rumble now.
No, I know. I agree. Well, it didn't help that Bayley her and Ronda botched that whatever the hell they were trying to do with that. And I was like, she's still a work in progress, man. You got to give her props for that. But she is a good wrestler. Can't argue that she's not a good wrestler. She's just still a work in progress as far as the timing.
Would you be okay with Sasha Banks winning the title on Sunday?
No. It's not that I don't want. There's maybe nobody who's a bigger Sasha Banks fan than me, and she's been hard done by some of the booking and the storylines in this situation. I think she's fantastic. She should have the belt for an extended run past one defense. But I don't think it serves a purpose to have her win it. It doesn't push the 4 horsemen versus horsewomen storyline.
Well, it kind of does.
You don't want Sasha having the belt. It's Becky who should have the belt. It's Charlotte who should before Sasha. That carries more heat into a 4-on-4 match. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it doesn't make sense. Now, if Ronda cheats to win and keeps the belt somehow, now we have ourselves a little bit of a feud.
You want Ronda heel turn so bad.
It has to happen. You can't be with Shayna and be face. You just can't.
I feel like you don't need to turn Ronda Rousey yet because you have that ace in the hole of Shayna. The second you want to turn her heel, it's very easy.
Oh, yeah.
Bring Shayna and the posse in. The second those 3 hit the ring, place is going to go apeshit.
That's what I'm saying. That's going to happen.
It's going to happen, but it has to wait till after WrestleMania, I
think. You think so?
Yeah.
It's not going to be at WrestleMania 4-on-4? They keep alluding to horsemen all over the place on their social media. Even Bayley.
No, you're right. Even I saw
Bayley got into it.
There was a lot. No.
Yeah.
They've been pushing the 4 horsemen women narrative into this Royal Rumble a lot. I just feel like
they're going to come out and help her beat Sasha.
I mean, the only thing that I guess makes sense if they come out and they help her beat Sasha,
which is insane that Ronda needs help to beat Sasha.
We could, in theory, get 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen at Elimination Chamber. As opposed to like Survivor Series, like everyone thought it was going to be down the line, to help build up the WrestleMania match.
Okay, so then there's a possibility here. If Sasha does win, then Ronda takes it back at Elimination Chamber with the help of these girls. Or Sasha fights Ronda in a rematch at Elimination Chamber after Ronda gets help from these girls at Royal Rumble to help her beat Sasha. Sasha calls reinforcements on the sidelines with Becky and Charlotte and Bayley there on the sidelines. Then that whole match goes down. Ronda still wins. Now you have 4-on-4 at WrestleMania.
But see, that's not main event worthy, though.
You don't think 4-on-4 horsewomen?
You think Shayna and Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir
with Ronda
is main event worthy
against the other girls?
I love both. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge 4 horsewomen MMA fan.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's like, to be the main event of WrestleMania, you have to be pretty well known.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jessamine and Marina are there yet. Like, they've only been on
I see what you're saying. No. I don't think they'll main event WrestleMania, but they'll be one of the top matches at WrestleMania.
But this year
the
is the
title
only
will
chance.
Be at WrestleMania.
This year is the biggest chance that women have ever had to actually main event WrestleMania. So
you think Becky Lynch or somebody wins that?
Becky or Ronda or Charlotte have to be in the main event this year.
Okay.
They have to.
Against Ronda.
Well, if not now, when, man?
Okay.
Like, it's going to happen. Look at Raw.
Yeah.
They're ending Raw almost weekly now with Ronda Rousey segments. I think they're trying to condition people to be like, no, Ronda Rousey's the main event of WWE right now.
Okay.
And I mean, what are they going to do with Brock there instead of Brock and Braun to close the show? They've got to have Ronda versus Becky close the show with Charlotte in there too, I think. I think Charlotte's in there too.
Yeah, somehow.
It's got to be a 3-way.
Yeah, all right.
And that does free her up if she loses the title.
That's what I'm saying. So, good point.
to be in that match somehow. She could even lose the match. She could even lose the match and enter the Royal Rumble, and then she gets a title shot with whoever she wants. She's like, I don't want the Raw belt.
Yeah.
I want that bitch Becky Lynch.
Fair.
You know?
I like that.
I don't know. That's how I can see it. I don't know. This is an insight. This is just Ryder Ryan thinking out of his head. I don't know.
That's good. All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Don't go running with that one like the Alexa Bliss thing. I just said it as a guess. The Alexa Bliss thing wasn't a guess. I heard that from the source.
Hey, when you have the blue check mark at a site, that's kind of goes with the territory, unfortunately.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching this Collided Body Slam Raw recap. Ryan, tell people where they can find everything.
YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. That's the YouTube channel where you can watch the video of us doing this recap. You can watch Wrestling Sheet Radio as well. You can see other videos that I do. That's where Wrestling Sheet Radio, different lists, different fun things. I'm trying to set up different interviews. You can watch the video we did last week with Poppy. Poppy watches Bloody Wrestling. I'm glad most of you like that. For those of you who aren't familiar with Poppy, I recommend you check it out. It's a pretty fun video. She's an interesting character,
to say the least.
Also, ProWrestlingSheet.com. That's the website. At Wrestling Sheet on all social media. Also, if you're on the YouTube channel, please subscribe, please like, please comment, please share it if you really enjoyed the show. All those things help out a lot. If you only want to listen to the shows while you're driving and you're in your car or you're working around the house and you prefer podcasts, check out our podcast feed. It's on Podcast One. You just search Wrestling Sheet Radio. That's where our whole feed is with all the different shows that we do here. Also, I just started a new thing with Ryback, the big guy.
Yeah.
He asked me to start doing a weekly roundup of wrestling news on his podcast, Conversation with the Big Guy.
Nice.
He wanted to be able to talk about wrestling news again, but he felt like he needed someone to kind of like guide him on it, so he's not regurgitating shitty news, basically. So he asked me to be his weekly correspondent there. Started doing that on Sunday. I think the episode just went up late last night, but some good stuff on there.
Nice.
I mean, Ryback and I talk about the Revival and Mike Kanellis asking for their releases, and I feel like as someone who requested his own release before he got out, I feel like he has some valuable insight into that conversation. So I thought it was interesting. He also talks about whether he'd be interested in working with All Elite Wrestling and various topics related to All Elite Wrestling. So go check out the interview. I think you guys will like it.
Give my love. I like Ryback. I always did. I thought the Goldberg chants were unfair to him.
Me too.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Let me know what you thought about Raw and what you think is going to happen on SmackDown Live tonight. And we'll talk tomorrow. We'll be back with another Collider Body Slam SmackDown Live recap to talk about all the shenanigans.
ProWrestlingSheet.com